Kristen Oliver here. I decided to start doing some video blogs, so I hope you appreciate this. The first thing I'm going to do is answer a question that I get all the time. What do I do when my kids won't listen? If you're a parent, you have inevitably dealt with this, from toddlers to 7-8-year-olds, preteens, all the way up to teenagers. We all deal with this. We say something to our kids and they don't listen. And I will sometimes, when I am with other people, even have someone else say the same thing to my kids and they'll listen to someone else. What does this do for me? It absolutely drives me crazy. So I want to give you the cornerstone concept of what I teach to show you that there's actually something behind the scenes that is working here, and your kids are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So let's look at that. This is my story loop. This is the cornerstone of everything that I teach. We've got a trigger here. Obviously in this situation, it's upsetting when our kids don't listen to us. We try all sorts of different tactics. Sometimes they work for a week or two and then they fall off because we've got this thing going on over and over. We've got some upsets here. This is a trigger. What happens in our mind and body is we have automatic thoughts. We do not choose these thoughts. They just come in. They are something like, I can't believe we're still dealing with this, or I suck as a parent because if I were good, this wouldn't be happening. We have our automatic thoughts, not chosen. That's just a part of our mind, and they just come in. We're not even really aware of these typically. Then we have automatic emotions. This is what we're feeling in our body. Anger, annoyance, frustration, you name it. This is what happens when day after day, week after week, year after year, we perceive our children as not listening to us. So just one more time through here with a little bit of neuroscience. When thoughts that fire together wire together, and they create a strong neural pathway. So when we have the upset, we have the automatic thoughts. That's neuropeptides in our brains sending messages out, and then they send they elicit hormones in our body, and we get these emotions in our body. We have a strong neural pathway, firing and wiring, creating this really solid pathway of upset thought, emotion, upset thought, emotion. Over time, we develop beliefs. These beliefs are based in the past, they're based in history, they're based in experience. They might be like, my child never listens. It's all on me. I have to do everything around here, and if I don't, nobody's going to do it. Okay, those are just a couple examples of what might be coming up for you in terms of beliefs. Again, that's may or may not be actually true, but it absolutely feels like truth. And then over time, we have patterns and habits, and this is just a set of common actions and thoughts and beliefs. And then this loop goes and goes and goes. I'm sure most of you can relate to that day after day, feeling similar triggers, similar thoughts, similar emotions. And what ends up happening is we actually become addicted to these emotions. They become our norm. The annoyance, the anger, and the frustration is our usual state of being. Oftentimes I hear so many parents saying that they're anxious. So many parents are telling me that their children are anxious. This is a memorized emotion in the body. The brain wants to be right. So the brain actually feels good in an odd way. It feels comfortable and familiar when it feels anxious, annoyed, and frustrated because it feels validated. So if we try to wake in our day and hope that this is the day that everything's going to change, we've got that hope for maybe a couple minutes, if you're really lucky, a couple hours. But then as soon as that kid doesn't listen again, your brain goes back to this old state and it feels validated. It feels confirmed. I knew I was right. And there you go, that loop going around again and again and being a solid neural pathway. Over time, again, we become addicted. It doesn't even take the trigger for us to be in this state. The emotions are there and it creates a predictable reality, a predictable state. You know, if we're wanting to be right, we're going to take any situation and look for what is going to make those emotions real, the anger, the annoyance, the anxiety, and the frustration. So what we can do then is recognize that this pattern is within us. Granted, your kids, they might still not listen, but if you see them through the lens of one whose brain wants to feel anger, frustration, annoyance, and sadness or regret or resentment and guilt is a huge one, then the kids are going to always be activating this pathway. What would happen? I want to challenge you. What would happen if you decided to bring forth peace and gratitude and ease as your dominant emotion? When this becomes more dominant in your mind and in your body, then the old thoughts and the old patterns, you open up the possibility for something to happen that's very different. I had one couple come to a class of mine, and they called me and they said the 4 days following this class were the 4 best days they have ever had with their child. This was a child who was defiant, who wasn't listening, who was directly doing the opposite than what his parents were asking him to do. The 4 best days of their life after my class. I was humbled, I was shocked, and then you know what happened? Their mind and their body went back to the automatic. It went back to the anger and the frustration because they didn't make their new thoughts and their new emotions a solid neural pathway. If this is something that resonates with you and you want something different for yourself and for your family, consider coming to my upcoming class, the Connected Parent class, in September. You can register online on the store on my website, www.kristinoliver.com, or you can go directly to kristinoliver.com/parenting, and Kristen is with a E-N, Kristen. I would love to have you in this class. In this class, we talk about this so that it's solid and it's clear and you recognize your path, your neurological pathways, your tendencies. When you recognize your tendencies and take responsibility for them, not in a bad way, not in guilt and blame and shame. Responsibility means I get to respond. I get to choose my response. I get to choose what emotions I'm putting in here. When you learn this concept and many, many techniques to help you change this patterning, will is not enough. The desire is not enough. We have to learn how to get into the subconscious mind where that programming is held. And we do that in my classes. We have many techniques and you get to learn in a supportive group. So please join me. You can follow me at kristinoliver.com on my newsletter, and I'd love to see you. Until then, let's stay connected.